Eutrophication in the Gulf of Mexico.
Bodies of water have been under attack by humans. Runoff caused almost exclusively by human actions has been causing hypoxia in our bodies of water, called eutrophication. To put it simply, eutrophication is caused by an excess of nutrients, which cause algae blooms, which then sink and decompose and rob the water of oxygen. This creates a dead zone where fish populations leave the area, and less mobile animals or fish that cannot leave as quickly die due to lack of oxygen. Eutrophication in the Gulf of Mexico has been a devastating problem for fish populations, fishing businesses, and life in general off the coast of Louisiana and eastern Texas. The dead zone itself expands to around 7,000 square miles on average, and at its largest was around 8,700 square miles in 2017, around the same size as the state of New Jersey, roughly. It fluctuates seasonally and is most prevalent in the summer months. Due to the lack of reliable data, though, we aren't able to know how the Gulf was affected reliably prior to about 1985. Excessive nitrogen and phosphorus are the leading causes of eutrophication, and these nutrients can be introduced by farming runoff, eroded soil, and human and animal sewage, and household industrial chemical runoff. Eutrophication in the Gulf of Mexico is mainly a result of the runoff of nutrients from the states that make up the Mississippi River watershed, which you can see here, with farming states being the highest contributors of these nutrients. It doesn't have to be this way, though. With changes to our daily routines and practicing more environmentally friendly industrial and farming practices, we can prevent our runoff from entering our own bodies of water at the source, thus preventing them from building up into the dead zone that we are seeing in the Gulf of Mexico.
The eutrophication in the Gulf of Mexico is the result of many direct and indirect drivers. Some factors that directly influence the amount of nutrients that accumulates within the Gulf are the increased use of synthetic fertilizers, the increased use of fossil fuels, land use changes, wastewater flow, animal waste, and the stratification of the water within the Gulf of Mexico. Indirect drivers that propel these direct drivers include population and economic growth, unsustainable farming practices like monocropping, increased meat consumption, the expanding use of biofuels, as well as the density, temperature, and salinity of the water mixing in the Gulf. This wicked issue also involves many stakeholders. These include the farmers within the Mississippi Atchafalaya River Basin that apply these enhanced fertilizers, federal and state governments that are combating the issue, the fishing, seafood, and tourism industry, as well as everyone who lives on the Gulf and upstream due to the contamination of drinking water.
There are significant barriers that often get in the way of improving conditions in the Gulf of Mexico. One of the largest barriers to change comes in the form of a financial hurdle for the agricultural industry at large. It is clear that much of the damage caused by eutrophication comes from fertilizer and nutrient overuse, and a reduction in usage could actually benefit the industry rather than inversely affecting them. According to Sensor, fertilizers are expensive and often overapplied. By using less of it on their crops, farmers could save money, which would also be good for the ecosystem as well. Another barrier to large-scale change is simply a lack of knowledge for all stakeholders. To force effective, widespread change, we must educate the general public of the issue at hand and inform them of potential solutions, and also lobby to get our government representatives involved. At a regulatory level, we must show the need for harsher regulations, limiting runoff into the Gulf and its connecting waterways, as there is currently not nearly enough being done to offset or negate the damage we are doing. Everyone is considered a stakeholder, as it relates to our environment and our planet's health in general. We must educate ourselves on the topic and take action immediately, and stop ignoring the blatant disregard our agriculture, industry, and our government has shown for eutrophication in the Gulf. Without proper solutions, hypoxic dead zones will spread even further, and eventually we will be talking about these problems in more than just the Gulf.
In its current state, the agricultural industry prioritizes high crop yields through the use of fertilizers and unsustainable farming practices that are bad for the environment. We must change this practice if we want to put an end to unsustainable fertilizer use and save the Gulf of Mexico's ecosystem. So in the future, we hope to see the agricultural industry shift to a position that prioritizes environmental protection and sustainable farming practices as much as it values high crop yields. Future solutions must be feasible, effective, and for the sake of the ag industry and consumers, affordable. Moving forward, the agricultural industry needs to embrace their responsibility of conserving the natural environment to the full extent that they affect it, and take practical measures to reduce their excess nutrients and waste outflow. In the future, we hope to see more widespread use of denitrification methods, such as the use of natural vegetation, to help filter pollution from wastewater. Our hope is that in the years to come, we can reduce watershed pollution and shrink the area of the hypoxic zone that exists in the Gulf. Doing so would help to regenerate the Gulf's marine ecosystem and bring biodiversity back to the area.